students, today we are going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Evolution, and today in this video we will cover part 8. Now let's begin with the first question, which was asked in the year 2009. So the question seems to be big here. In the case of peppered moth, the black colored form became dominant over the light colored form in England during the Industrial Revolution. So what is this an example of? Very easy question. I already discussed a lot about this in the earlier chapter, the earlier parts of the chapter, but I said this was because of industrial melanism. It was during the Industrial Revolution that it happened. So what do you think will be the, we already know what the answer is. So we know what the answer is. It was because of natural selection. It was not appearance or inheritance, nothing like that. It was a natural selection whereby the darker forms were selected. Okay? The right answer is option D. In the case of peppered moth, the black colored form became dominant over the light colored form is an example of natural selection. This group of about species had gained protection from the predators due to the selection that was caused by nature and not purposely. Okay, therefore the right answer is option D. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. Which one of the following in birds indicates their reptilian ancestry? Okay, we have to analyze the statements here. So what do you think will be the answer here? The answer is A and D. Scales of their hind limbs and eggs with a callous shell. Okay, scales of the hind limbs and the eggs of the callous shells indicates in birds about their reptilian ancestry. Okay, therefore the right answer is option A and D. Next question. Select the correct statement from the following. Okay, we have to analyze the statements here. Fitness is the end result of the ability to adapt and get selected by nature. All mammals except whales and camels have 7 cervical vertebrae. Mutations are random and directional. Darwinian variations are small and directionless. So we know there is a theory called the theory of the fittest. We know that, right? The one which is fit or healthy or whatever you call it as, they can survive the condition. It's not just for life, everywhere. Even if you are competing with your friend or you're competing with someone, the person who is strong will only win. The person it's not about smartness. Anywhere, if you're competing physically, you need more stamina. So the right answer is option A. Fitness is the end result of the ability to adapt and get selected by nature. To survive in a particular environment, an organism needs to adapt first. Because you know very well how was the ecosystem in the olden days and how is it now in the current state. Many species who are not able to adapt have vanished from the ecosystem. Those who are able to survive, those who are able to adapt themselves are surviving in the ecosystem. For example, if you look into the extinct species, and let's take the dinosaurs itself. It was a mass extinction that happened. So adaptation plays a very, very important and a vital role in life. It's not just about surviving in ecosystem, but also in your life, your real life. You know, when you have a proverb like saying that do as Romans do. Why do they tell that? When there is a situation where you have to adapt and move on, that is a smart way. If you're not going to adapt, it's going to be a problem for yourself, not for the rest. So fitness is the end result of the ability to adapt and get selected by nature. Therefore the right answer is option A. Next question here. Very easy question. Jurassic period of the Mesozoic era was characterized by dash. So what was it characterized by? Of course you had dinosaurs in it, but that's not about the answer. Just because you saw the word there, dinosaur, don't go for that. Jurassic period, as we all know, it is a Mesozoic era where about 19 to 20 crore years ago, and it only lasted about 5.5 to 6 crore years. The climate was hot and damp. It is also called the age of dinosaurs. The first primitive bird, so you have an example here, it's called as Archaeopteryx, evolved from reptiles. The first angiosperm appeared as a dicotyledon, but gymnosperms were dominant. So now you should know what the answer is. D. Gymnosperms were dominant plants and the first birds appeared during the Mesozoic era. Okay, was characterized by these two things. Fine, now let's move to the next question here. Which one of the following is not a living fossil? Okay, so what is a fossil? We all know what fossils, what is fossil, right? They are also called as remains. Now, what do you mean by living fossil? We know what is the general meaning of what fossil is. Now, what do you mean by living fossil? A living fossil is an extant taxon that closely resembles. So, it's an extant taxon that closely resembles the organisms otherwise known only from the fossil record. To be considered as a living fossil, the fossil species must be a known relative of the time and origin of extant clade. So living fossils are commonly or of the species poor lineages but need not be. So out of the four options, which is a living fossil? Which is not a living fossil? It is Archaeopteryx. So it's an extinct, it's gone. A fossil dead found from the Mesozoic rocks. It's connecting link between the reptiles and the birds. It is not a living fossil. Okay, next question here. Which of the following is relatively most accurate method for dating of fossils? We do dating of fossils. Why do we do dating of fossils? Any idea? Or you ever heard about dating of fossils? Okay, it's not just animals or plants that we do dating of fossils. We can also do it for rocks and all. Dating is used to determine the fossil's approximate age. Very important. By comparing it to similar rocks and fossils of known ages. Absolute dating. So you have different types of dating. Relative dating, absolute dating. Then you have radiocarbon dating. So many other methods. So what is the common dating method for fossils? If you see, one of the most widely used and well known is the absolute dating techniques, where they use carbon-14 or radiocarbon dating, which is used to date the organic remains. This is a radiometric technique since it is based on the radioactive decay. So now I've given you an answer. What is this radioactive dating? But which of the following is the relatively most accurate method for dating fossils? If you see, it is option C, electron spin resonance method, which is the most accurate method of dating the fossils. Other than that, the other two important methods are the radiocarbon method. They go for electron spin or they go for radiocarbon dating. Okay, next one. There are two opposing views about the origin of modern man. According to one view, Homo erectus in Asia were the ancestors of the modern man. A study of variation of DNA, however, suggested African origin of modern man. What kind of observation in DNA variation could suggest this? So the question seems to be very big. You just have to understand what the question is first. Okay, so let's read it again, no problem. See, there are two opposing views about the origin of modern man. So here the question is about the modern man. According to one view, we have Homo erectus in Asia, and you say that they were the ancestors of modern man. And you have a study of variation of DNA, however, suggested from an African origin of modern man. So what kind of observation on DNA variation could suggest this? Okay, so it's actually a greater variation in Asia than in Africa. Okay, according to neo-dwarfinism, variation is the roots of evolution. Therefore, the right answer is option A, greater variation in Asia than in Africa. Next question here. Okay, what kind of evidence suggested that man is more closely related with chimpanzee than the other hominoid apes? So one thing that I can tell you is chimpanzee and gorilla closely relate to man. Do you agree with me? But that is the answer. DNA from the sex hormones, autosomes and mitochondria reflect the entire genomic limit. Chromosome morphology is only partial. Okay. So what would be the answer then? It is the evidence from the DNA extract from sex hormones, autosomes and mitochondria. So chromosome morphology is only partial, so it doesn't come here. Okay. Fine. Next question here. In which era reptiles were dominant? Very easy question. All of you should know what the answer is. Yes, it is called the Mesozoic era. And I've just given you a picture of the Mesozoic era. You have the various reptiles that are there in the picture. Okay. Next question here. According to the fossils discovered up to present time, origin and evolution of man was started from dash. So where did they start from? This is a direct question. Of course, you will not know the answer. The answer is Africa. Africa is often called the cradle of mankind. Okay, know it. See, it's not that everybody know all the answers. It's okay. So just know the answer. Where where do you find fossils? According to the fossils discovered up to present time origin or about man, it started from Africa. Next question. Which of the following is the closest relative to man? Even this you will not, even this you'll be able to answer because I told you two answers for this. Actually, chimpanzee and gorilla come under this. Okay, but when you have a option like where you have chimpanzee and gorilla, safer side, go for chimpanzee. Okay, but gorilla also represents man. Chimpanzee is the closest of all. When compared to chimpanzee and gorilla, gorilla comes second, chimpanzee comes first. Why I'm giving you this probability here is, usually chimpanzee and gorilla both are taken as answers, but when you have a question where you have both the options, you should go to the first preference. The priority is very important. Closest, if you see, it's chimpanzee. But if in general, if you ask, chimpanzee and gorilla will come. The banding pattern of the human chromosome 3 and 6 are remarkably similar to that of chimpanzee, indicating the common origin of both. Okay, next question. Which of the following is in the correct order of evolutionary history of man? And this question was asked in the year 2001. So you just need to know the order here. I'm going to tell you the order. The right answer is option C. We have working men, Heidelberg man, Neanderthal, then you have Cro-Magnon. Okay, so this is the right order, the correct order for the evolutionary history of man. Peking man had a cranial capacity of about 1000 cc, while Heidelberg man is regarded as the ancestor of the Neanderthal man, while Cro-Magnon is a form of modern man living in Europe. So this is the right order. You just make it as PHNC so that it will be easy for you to remember. What is how I told you to remember the order? PHNC. I'm sorry. It's it's PHNC. Remember this. So that P stands for working man, H Heidelberg, Neanderthal, and Cro-Magnon. Next question here. Homo sapiens. Okay. Homo sapiens evolved during dash. This question was asked in the year 2000. So we have Pleistocene, Eocene, Oligocene, and Miocene. The right answer is option C, Eocene. While if you take the rest, Oligocene and the rest, they are not that. They are actually marked by the rise of the monkeys and apes. Oligocene is the rise of monkeys and apes. Miocene is marked by the appearance of man-like apes, while Pliocene is characterized by the origin of man. So exactly we are talking about man here. Therefore, the right answer is option Pliocene. So here you have the clear image of how a Pliocene looks. It's the American mastodon, and yeah, it comes in that era. Homo sapiens evolved during that era. Next question. Which of the following primate is the closest relative of humans? Very easy question. I said two animals come under two apes. They come under that. One was chimpanzee and the other was gorilla. So now if you look at in the four options, we don't have chimpanzee here. We have gorilla, which is the second most close relative of man. Therefore, the right answer to this question will be gorilla. But one thing you need to remember here is, when you have a question which talks about the close relative, if you have an option chimpanzee there, go for chimpanzee, because chimpanzee gets the first place while gorilla gets the second place. Both of them are close relative, but the closest of all, if you see, is chimpanzee. So now if you look at in this question, you don't have chimpanzee here. So we chose gorilla. Okay, fine. So with this, we complete the part 8 of evolution. Hope to meet you in the next part of the same chapter. Thank you.